It's not about the pen. The Autopen has been used. Presidents, as you pointed out, used it. There's precedent for that. That's fine. The question is, did the president himself authorize or make the decision that led to the use of the Autopen? And what the committee found was that there were numerous instances where there was no real direct chain of evidence going from presidential decision-making to the use of the Autopen. And the committee found that in many instances, they could not trace presidential decision-making to the use of the Autopen. It's unprecedented. We've never had this situation before. So it's not the use of the device. It's a question of presidential power. The Constitution says only the president can pardon, as you pointed out, but he has to make the decision. An unelected staffer cannot say, well, we think he's okay with us pardoning this group of people, and let's do it. That would be extra constitutional, and now the DOJ has to decide what to do with it. I'm not sure what you do. I guess you go ask a judge if these decisions are traceable, but the question is, where does the power lie? It doesn't lie with the staff. It only lies with the president. The same would be true for executive orders. If executive orders were drafted and signed in his name, you know, I think it's a legit question. Now, I don't know how a judge would deal with this if the DOJ showed up in court. It is an unprecedented situation.
Scott, I would just
it's not a question about the signing. It's a question about knowledge of decision making. And I think Trump has knowledge. Look, I've been around the president quite a bit this year. I can tell you, the nerve center of this White House is in the Oval Office at the Resolute desk.
How much time did you spend with Joe Biden? I'm just curious.
How much time did his senior staff spend with him?
How much time did you spend with Joe Biden?
Zero. About the same amount as his staff, his senior staff.
I haven't spent time with Donald Trump, but I have spent time with Joe Biden. Here's what I do know, that Joe Biden, as testified under oath, every single person from Biden world declared that he was into it in the same way that Kevin McCarthy.
I think you should stay with it. You should stay with the sharpness of Joe Biden.
Kevin McCarthy said that Joe Biden's sharp as a tack.
You should stay with it.
Keeping the government open. Then
Keep going.
Well,
the sharpness of Joe Biden is back on the table.
Would you be okay with that? Pardons just disappearing because a president says that they should?
Well, look, I'm skeptical that argument's going to hold up. But I just would say on the Biden pardons, they didn't go through the normal process. They didn't go through the DOJ. You've been talking about normal process. They did not.
That's true of Trump's pardons, too.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I know, but no one's alleging that he had a device signed them and he wasn't aware of it.
But Scott, as we've established,
I had a point
since 2005, it has been established the president can use Autopen. It doesn't change anything. But also, Trump didn't go through a process either, and that's not required. It's a constitutional ability.
I know that, but because it didn't go through a process, and it was his own family, and it was apparently handled by a very small number of people in the White House, these pardons probably have less visibility than any pardons in modern history.
This is also referring to the January 6th committee members, not the family.
But they didn't run any of this through DOJ.
Is that suddenly an issue now?
Well, at the end of the Biden,
any pardons by DOJ before he
at the end of the Biden administration, legitimate questions have been asked about who was running the White House and who was exercising the authority, the office of the president. These are not illegitimate questions.
Hold on. I think you have to be fair about it. If you say that it's a problem to not run this by DOJ, it's got to be a problem to not run other
pardons. Transparency.
He pardoned 1,600 January 6th convicted January 6th rioters, including people who assaulted
and talked about doing it for months.
And but it didn't go.
There's no question that some unnamed family member did it on his behalf. We don't know that about Biden.
Just to be intellectually honest, you would also have to say that should have gone through a process, and it did not.
Well, to be intellectually honest, why are you denying all of the mainstream reporting about who was actually running the Biden White House?
That's a change.
Including reporting.
You were just saying that this had not been run by DOJ. But
tonight we are all about changing.